Welcome, my friends, to the Sage Quay Radio Hour, your home for free and critical thinking, and I'm your host, Mike Williams. Tonight, returning to the show, is our very special guest, Ole Dammegård. Ole is an expert in the field of assassination research. He's a prize-winning author, investigator, and former journalist. Ole has dedicated more than 30 years of his life to solve the mystery behind the assassination of the Swedish Prime Minister, Olof Palme, a dangerous undertaking which cost the lives of two of his colleagues. His extensive research has also revealed incredible links to other big political events, like the killing of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, John Lennon, and many others, as well as the cold-blooded sinking of the MS Estonia, which resulted in the loss of almost 1,000 innocent lives. Ole's work is completely self-funded, so if you could take a moment after the show and visit his website, lightonconspiracies.com, and consider donating or sponsoring his work, it would be greatly appreciated. For tonight's discussion, we talk a bit about the subliminal messaging in the media, and then Ole dives into his analysis and insights into the Paris and Copenhagen shootings and how each event follows a prescribed false flag template. We pick the conversation up with Ole explaining the meaning of the word government, and then how mind control is embedded in the media. Let's take a listen.
We were talking about the word government last time, I think.
Yeah.
The word government, governmente, it's Latin and it means control the mind, mind control. It's right there in front of you. I tell you, there's a really, really spooky YouTube video where in the 60s and 70s, I think every night before you went to sleep, the last thing after the last program in the States, you had the flag going like this and the national anthem. Do you remember it?
Yep, I do. And I remember the clip. Yep.
But once you will see the text of the lyrics being, it comes out across the screen so that you can sing along, right. All of these things, and the flag, and it's really patriotic and wonderful. But if you go down in extreme slow motion, you will see that all of these letters coming up and making the words. If you see just before the letter appears, there's another letter. Just like pop, 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 just before the letters come out. And the thing is with your subconscious, it's so fast that this is in advertisements and so on. They're aware of that, so they can click things in, like they just show a split of a second, they show a Coca-Cola bottle or a hamburger or something like that. And you go, oh my God, I don't know why, but I'm feeling hungry,
Subliminal messages, yeah.
Subliminal messages, they got it all over the place, You look at the alcohol ads or car ads like that. Look in the front, the lights in the crystals in front of the lights. If you turn it upside down and you look like, you will see that they put loads of different images of naked women and all of these things.
Right.
You have no idea. You're looking, oh my God, it looks like a super car. I feel so good about this. Yeah, I wonder why. And you start looking into it. You see, whoa, they're playing games with your subconscious. Back to the national anthem. What appears before the letters of the real words come forward are words like never question government, we rule, buy, consume,
obey,
obey. We laugh now, but I mean, this was in the 60s. What are they doing nowadays? Yeah. Like, oh my God, freak me out.
Well, I think today it's gotten so much more sophisticated because they're doing all their predictive programming in the movies, and they're still doing subliminal messages. Every time you watch TV and you watch cable news, what you're getting is hypnosis. You're getting the visual suggestions. You're getting the verbal suggestions, So it's very, very sophisticated today. I mean, they're still doing the stuff they did in the 60s. It's just gotten a lot more technical and a lot more advanced.
I would say that it's multiplied in so many layers that we have absolutely no idea about. When you, as a hypnotist, do you react to some things when you're looking on TV and things like that? Are there certain things that you say, "Whoa, here we go"?
Yeah, I see it all the time. In fact, I did a show with Sophia Smallstorm. Sophia had asked me to come on and talk about TV and hypnosis, and so I did an entire show explaining when you're watching, as an example, Fox News or CNN, what's going on that screen, and that what's going on is essentially to put you in a trance loop. So when you see, as an example, Ole, because this is your show, You're the guest.
No, no, I
Is
want to listen. I want to learn.
when you see the spinning logos at the bottom of the screen, what that does is that your attention goes to the spinning logo. And when it does that and you watch it long enough, you get what we call eye fatigue. And when you get eye fatigue, that puts you into a trance loop. So that's exactly what they're looking to do, is to get you into a trance, light trance, alpha state. It also happens when at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the ticker. They'll have some news, or maybe they'll have stock prices. Well, that's the same thing. What that does is that gets you to focus on that ticker, and that gives you eye fatigue. And all of a sudden, what will happen is your conscious mind will drop out, and you're in your subconscious, and you're in that trance loop. So once they have you in the trance loop, what's happening then is they're giving you all of these verbal suggestions. They're talking about shootings, war, terror. So you're getting all this now as you're in an alpha trance state. And then they'll play the repeated loops. Like I was mentioning to Sophia, I mean, we all have sat there and thought to ourselves, don't they have any other footage than this one? Or do they just keep playing the same thing over and over again? Exactly. That's their intent, to continue to play that same loop over and over and over again, with you getting text-based suggestions, also spoken suggestions by whoever is speaking on the television. So you have the anchor person, or you have the pundit, or whoever it may be speaking. So they bring all these things together. You have textual suggestions, you have verbal suggestions, you have the visual aspect of it, which is very, very important, because the language of your unconscious mind is imagination. And so when you project imagery, the unconscious mind loves imagery. So they're putting the whole package together. If you've ever watched how some of the shows start, like the music award shows, they will have a spinning circle. Within that spinning circle, they'll have a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a hip.
Kidding me.
Yeah. So the spinning circle, what that does is that puts you into a trance loop, and then within that circle, you will see the numbers 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What they're doing is that in hypnosis, we count down to deepen people, to put them into a deeper trance state. And they also use color coding. So you'll see a lot of blues, you'll see a lot of red. So when you see blues, what you're getting is cool, calm, collected. It's okay. If you see a guy come on, it's a blue set, he has a blue suit, a blue tie, a white shirt. Basically, what you're getting subliminally and subconsciously from watching that person is, I'm somebody who can be trusted. I am a voice of reason. Listen to what I have to say. And then when you see flashes of red, that's alert, concern, bring your focus here. We have something that's very important to tell you, and so on. So that's why when you watch cable news, or network news, you'll get this mix of blues and reds predominantly. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll bring both in at the same time. And when they bring both in at the same time, what they're creating is what's referred to in hypnosis as a confusion technique. And a confusion technique in hypnosis, what that does is that gets the conscious mind to essentially just flip off, and the person moves into their subconscious, unconscious mind. And in your unconscious, subconscious state of consciousness, that's where you are prone to suggestion. So there's a lot of techniques, very advanced techniques they use from a hypnosis perspective. And like I said, did a whole show on it with Sophia. We had a good time, but that's how it works.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
interesting.
Didn't mean to eat into your time there, but
No, not at all. I just know that here in Spain, for instance, there's one of these news programs, they got the spinning thing down in the corner.
Yeah.
And then they got like chemtrails in the background going all the time, these white lines coming over a blue sky.
Yep. That's the conditioning.
So,
They have it here. We'll have a meteorologist get up and talk about the weather, and behind him, there's a green screen, and they're projecting chemtrails. And that's conditioning. That's for you to basically just take it in and say, those lines that you see in the sky are absolutely normal. There's nothing to see here. Everything's good. Go back to sleep.
Really interesting. I'm going to listen to that show.
Yeah, it was a good one. We had a lot of fun doing that. Now, Ole, did you want to talk about Copenhagen? Because you said you had called that one.
A while ago, they've been carrying these out more and more and more intense intervals. They went from one false flag a month maybe or something like that. Where at the Boston bombing there was like this boom, and then there was a long episode, and then the Sandy Hook boom. But then it started getting like boom, 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 boom. And they, according to sources in the CIA that I heard from, they call it the scare of the week. They had to get the momentum up there to keep us focused so that people don't get time enough to even breathe and start looking into things. I mean, nowadays, if you say Boston bombing, they're like, oh my God, it's such a long time ago. Sandy Hook, who even cares? It's just a few years down the line, you know? So they want you to get distracted away from that. And also more and more in fear mode that, oh my God, the whole world is going crazy. So they were very focused on the States for quite a long time because they wanted you to give up your weapons. That was the whole thing with mass shootings. It's not people being crazy. We need to get more psychiatrists on board and take care of these poor people. No. It's the weapons. It's the weapon. You know, when people start shooting, the solution, take away the weapon. And the only reason they want to take away the weapon is because they want the weapons and they want you without them.
Right.
I'm totally pro anti-war, anti-violence, but I strongly suggest do not give up your weapons, because this is what dictators have done for decades. Get the weapons away from the population and then they will just go in there with no resistance whatsoever. So just keep them, don't use them, but keep them. Do not give them up. That's my suggestion. Anyway, so here in Europe, we don't have weapons at all like that in the same way. So very few mass shootings here, but they wanted to go global. And also when different countries have been, I think, trying to get out of NATO and have not, they have not approved of all these wars, unjust wars and so on. And every single time a country had been trying to pull out, like in Norway was trying to pull out of the war, and then they hit them with this mass shooting on this island, if you remember.
I remember.
They blew up a government building, and then this so-called crazy guy went around and killed a lot of youngsters. Got people back on track, Norway back on track, so they're still out in NATO, scared, freaked the other countries out, so they stayed cool for a while. And this is the way they do it. You know, like now Paris signed, to accept, as far as I know, accept Palestine. Boom, we hit them. It's a matter of get back in line. If you stick out, we're going to smash you, But I don't want to say that I know anything or a lot about the overall agenda, what's going on at this specific moment. What I do know is about the details on a street level. I leave the other stuff for other researchers. I'm more on a street level. And one of the things a few months ago that I found out was I was leaked an agenda that they were aiming to do a series of strikes: Dublin, Paris, Copenhagen, and Italy. And there was also a very creepy image that was circulating in media on Ireland, where there was a photo of the Grim Reaper. I think it's a female Grim Reaper. It looks very scary, but there's this image, and it says, Israel now, Dublin next. Then there's an explosive in front of this. Then it says, Israel now, Paris next. There's Mona Lisa with some kind of a bomb. Then Israel now, Copenhagen next. There's the mermaid with a bomb in front of it. And then it says Israel now, Italy next with a bomb. So to start with, I didn't even think about this one. I just thought it's a bit creepy. But with the knowledge at the same time of the people behind these things, I don't know why they do it, but they love bragging, or they love putting it out there right in front of you, giving you a lot of clues and things like that. I am not sure why they do it. It's almost like a serial killer who's sort of playing games with his victim to come.
Well, they probably get off on it. It's basically, I'm going to put it out there, and you're not going to stop me. We're going to go do what it is we're going to do.
It's a power game. That's how I feel it, as a weird, very bizarre power game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my interpretation of it. But anyway, so when there was a bomb that went off, or they found the bomb, as far as I know, in Dublin. It was at the Intel plant outside Dublin, and it was stopped, as far as I know. But ISIS took responsibility for it. And when you look into ISIS, at least so much that I've looked into these things, you will find out it's an absolute hoax. It's an absolute boogeyman inside job. They're mercenaries carrying out their things to inflict fear. It's just an upgrade from Al-Qaeda. When they couldn't freak us out anymore with that, they went, oh no, not so fast. Here's another one. Here's the boogeyman. And so in came ISIS. Anyway, so it was Dublin. And then when this happened in Paris, I thought, oh, wait a second, Dublin, Paris, could this be one of these things again that they put right in front of us? So as soon as I really went into detail and discovered that Paris was a major false flag, the whole thing was staged. As far as I know, nobody was killed. Maybe the people in the newspaper office was killed. I do not think so, but absolutely not the police officer and so on.
The police officer, there was no blood when he was shot at.
Absolutely not. There was no recoil. You see, if you zoom in and you go in extreme slow motion, there's like gums. It looks like a ricochet from the pavement, but it's actually a smoke canister that detonates from his left hand.
Right.
It goes upward and in a right angle. That's just one out of many, many details that shows that just it totally exposes this as a hoax. And like I said in the last show, the car that was found with the ID of one of the brothers, the driver's license. I mean, it wasn't only that he didn't drop his wallet. He only dropped his ID. Very, very unfortunate for this terrorist. Just like the guy on 9/11, where they found his pristine passport. Nothing else survived this whole thing but the passport. And this was a national flight. So why on earth, on a suicide mission, did he even think about bringing his passport? The car that was found was a Citroen C3 2013 with black side mirrors. You look at the car where the terrorists jump out and run up and supposedly shoot this guy. It's a Citroen C3 2014, not the same year, 2014, with chrome side mirrors. We're not talking about the same vehicles. And when you look at the photos of the car that they abandoned and the photos that are later checked out by the forensic team, they're not parked in the same location. It differs with a few meters. The guy with the headshot, there are queue markers where the shooter runs up to the pavement. There's one white marker. Then he passes by the police officer on the pavement. Then as soon as he runs down from the pavement, there's another queue marker there. And in the middle of the street, is a queue marker where he turns around and runs back to the car. These queue markers are made, they do rehearsals to check the camera angles and so on, so that you can get a good shot of everything. So the reason they put these queue markers are that the actors should go the exact same route every time. You got also when vehicles are involved, what they need on a film set is that they shut off the streets so that they have total control of background action, of the vehicles, of pedestrians, of everything. Everybody needs to be controlled by them. So very often nowadays they use back streets, that can easily be shut off and with no people looking in or very few people looking in. So you will see that there are no other vehicles in these false flag operations, only the vehicles that are in the film itself, if you want to call it like that. You will see also they when you do a film, they will make queue markers for the vehicles as well, so that the vehicle will go in the same position every time they make a new take. And if you go in an action movie, for instance, you have a car that suddenly turns over and starts rolling down a hill or something like that. If you check out the street, the tar road, you will see that the skid marks identical. So that like maybe there are 3 or 4 of them. It's from the rehearsal, and then they have the take that they use in the film. It just shows you that they've done rehearsals here.
So the whole thing is staged, Ole, from beginning to end.
Yeah, and here in Paris, we got exactly under the center of the car, you can see there's a white line. That is exactly such a queue marker, so that the driver knows, stop the car here. On the right-hand side, where the terrorist on the passenger side, he opens the door. There's a trainer there, right in the middle of the street, exactly showing the position where he should get out. You check out the feet of the 2 shooters, both of them have shoes on. So that shoe is not there. It's not that they dropped it, But then when they take off, before he closes the door, he picks up the shoe and throws it inside the car, and they take off. Very calmly, no screaming tires, no nothing like that. Then you have, there's some shots being fired, and you have the police that is rolling around on the pavement. So apparently he's been hit. Now the normal thing for a human being, if you are hit or shot or stabbed or whatever, you put your hands on the wound. That is a normal reaction. And this guy is rolling around holding his leg. Then when one of the terrorists comes closer, he just puts the hands up to sort of like, oh, please don't shoot, this type of thing. And you see both his palms, no blood. No blood on the leg, no blood on the hands. Okay? So then we have the shot itself, where this guy just runs by him. He doesn't even stop and aim. He just runs by him and apparently fires a headshot. Now, anyone who's been in a real war zone or have seen homicides or something like that, where there's close-up headshots with a high-power weapon like that, knows that it's gruesome. It is really awful to see. And here, there's absolutely no recoil from the weapon. There's no impact. You can't see any impact on the head. There's no blood, no brain, no nothing. And then the guy also, they're very relaxed. If you've been to a war zone, you will know that there's a lot of adrenaline going on, a lot of tension. Here, they're just like jogging around the whole area. It's very relaxed, and also the way they take off. Then you listen to the sound, you turn up the volume really loud, and you hear like, when the shots are fired, they sound very, very loud, very impressive. But in the background, you can hear the children playing and laughing. The normal reaction when somebody starts shooting is people freak out and run away or something like that, or go totally quiet, or there's a very clear reaction. Here, if you listen to the background sound, the children just continue playing and laughing. I would say added afterwards. This is background noise added afterwards. The same also, they amplify the effect of the shots. And I think maybe the shots weren't even fired because when you look at the acoustics, it sounds like they've been recorded in an area just between buildings. You have this echo like there was a building on the other side of the street, but here we've got an open space, like a park area. So I would say too that there's something that doesn't match up with the sound of the shots.
Ole, when they do this, maybe you don't know the answer to this. If you don't, just say, Mike, I have no clue. But the people that are the actors that are playing in this staged event, do you think that they are aware that this is going to be presented in the media as a major event? Or are they unaware and they just believe they're going through some kind of drill?
The one in Paris, totally aware of it. The one earlier on, many times, people have not been aware. They've signed up, on websites like crisisactors.org, these type of things, and been fooled into
participating
to do these things. Yeah, and I asked Chip Tatum, how do you control a group like that? He said, you try to keep the group as small as possible because it's easier to control. It's just like with sheep, the fewer they are, the easier it is for you to keep them together. And he says, what you do normally is you pay them well. That normally keeps a lot of people quiet, or you boost their ego. You make them believe that they're doing something really important. So it's for national security or it's for the safety of the US or whatever. So they feel, oh my God, I'm involved in something really special. Or if they start getting doubts, you intimidate them. You scare them. You threaten their children or their dog or something like that. That normally takes care of it. If it doesn't, you beat them up. If that doesn't help either, you kill someone, and you do it in a way that the other people will be aware of in the group, so that it will freak everyone out. And that normally keeps them quiet.
Interesting. So in Paris, you believe that everybody was fully aware and on board what this was going to be about?
No, there was a lot of local people, local police officers and so on, that were totally not knowing what was going on, but they were also kept away from the area. This is where normal police, back off, the SWAT teams are on their way in, then normal police withdraw and let these people in,
Yeah.
because they're more skilled. But these SWAT teams, when you check out how they move around and what they're doing, oh, come on. They're not soldiers. They're not very well trained, most of them. And there's especially one outside this kosher supermarket. I love that guy because you will see him. There's one cut footage where there's these people standing on the side of the entrance. They're really safe, because they're glass walls that the people apparently can't shoot through. You would think that if it was a real shootout, they would just shoot through these very thin walls. No, they're standing, as long as they're not right in front of the entrance, they're fine apparently. And they throw in a bomb, and then you see there's an explosion and so on. And then everybody gets in there, totally fills up the whole opening of the entrance. And then you got this guy behind them. He comes behind a black car, and he just jumps out and he starts firing right into the group of other SWAT team members. You can see his automatic weapon go doo, 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 doo. You can see the smoke coming. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Blanks. This is the thing that gives it away. Have you seen the part? It's an old Peter Sellers movie. I think it's called Oh, What a Party or something like that. It's the Birdie Num Num movie. In the beginning of the film, he's an Indian guy, and he works extra on a film set, and he keeps messing it up. And because he's just so stupid, I would say this is a modern day Peter Sellers doing, just screwing it up. There's always somebody who messes it up. That's the guy in this one. And also you will see when they filmed around in Paris, there are all these SWAT teams. Sometimes they're standing out in the middle of the road just waiting, not knowing what to do. And then somebody says, run there. And they're just running. They're nowhere nearby anything of the action. They're just there to be visual, so that people can take photos of them. And it's an absolute joke. And then when there's real action, so-called real action, the film taken is like 1 kilometer from the factory when they were supposed to be shot. Anyway, so also we've got BBC. They love to be part of these things. You had on 9/11, you had this BBC reporter who's talking about it's so awful. World Trade Center Building 7 has just come down. It's so awful. And in the background, you see the building is still there.
Right.
Sorry, the timeline. You need to stick to the timeline. There's a time difference. England, US. Come on, guys. Shape up. But this is when it's live. Then there's so many nerves going on, and you just you mess it up. Okay, you got. In Paris, there was a BBC reporter standing where this police officer had been shot. You check out when he was shot, no blood. You check and when they took they lifted his body up onto a stretcher and took it into an ambulance. No blood on the body, no blood on the pavement. Also, they did CPR. I think if you've been shot in the head with an AK-47, CPR is not the way to go. I would say that could even make it worse, But that looks good on film, You got this whole team working on reviving this poor old sod,
Yeah, save his head.
So, save his head, pump it up. These are the things that give it away. They don't know what they're doing. They're not professionals. They're dressed like them, but they're not professionals. And then you have this BBC reporter afterwards. He's like, oh, we're standing here. It's so tragic. And then behind me, you can see the flowers and the candles. They always love those. And here you can see the blood that has been put on the pavement. That's his word. The blood that has been put on the pavement.
Yeah.
That's right there for you. And then you look at the blood, it's not even in the right position, and it's like 4-5 square meters of it. It's like a gallon of blood they poured out there. Anyway, it just goes on and on and on like that. And I think, I even think that they've started selling like advertisement space on these false flag operations, because they know millions and millions of people will see these things. So we might as well earn a buck or two. Awful. But you got, like in the office where these people are said to have been shot, okay? If you go to a real crime scene, once again, it is horrible. But if somebody has been shot or threatened or fearful, they normally try to hide under, tables or up against the wall or something like that. If they are hit, you have spray patterns. You have like, if they're thrown up against the wall by the impact of the bullet, you often have like blood, and then they slide down. You have different things like that. Here, nothing like it. Only one big puddle of blood on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's always this incredibly intense red color, because that really, like you were talking about before, it gets to your subconscious saying alert, 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 awful.
Right.
But normal blood, depending on where the wound is, can be anything from pinkish to dark red. And also when it dries up, within half an hour, it goes really brown or things like this. Here, just like in the Boston bombing and all of these things, so red. And you got this pool of blood on the floor. Then there's a table, an office chair, that is put on top of it. And there's absolutely no blood on the chair, even though it's very clearly that it's been put on top of it. And next to it, of course, there are bullet holes in the walls and so on. So you see, oh my God, it's really dramatic. And then right next to the blood is a bag, red, where it says Puma, advertising, I would say. Then you have, if you check it out, on all the different terror attacks I know that has been filmed, it's been filmed by a GoPro camera. These action cameras.
Yeah.
I don't want to give them extra credit for it, but this is the one. It keeps repeating the GoPro camera. It's the GoPro camera. This witness filmed it with a GoPro camera, and it's called the terrorist favorites now. Now the GoPro camera. Keep repeating it. Then you have like this this Citroen C3 that they lifted, and you got all these photos when they lifted off the street onto a truck. It is polished, like it looks like it comes directly from a showroom. I mean, my God, it's so polished. So my question is, are we looking at advertisement here in it as well? You have the Rothschild family. They bought the Charlie Hebdo magazine just a few weeks before this happened. They normally had like 60,000 copies. It sold for 7 million copies after this event. Let's make a buck out of it while we're here.
It's like a James Bond movie. They put all the advertisement and the products in there.
No. Yeah, but it's right there in front of us. And then I went down, Google Map, down on the exact point where this police officer was killed officially. You look at the spot, you can't see the spot because there's a big truck that's parked there. So you look at the truck, there's a massive big website advertisement and a car rental sign. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So anyone who will go down there will look, that company. You turn around, and on the shop window running across the street, it says legalize it. Subconscious again. I'm just pointing it out. I don't know for sure, but
no, but I'm listening, and it's all very interesting because you're seeing these things. It just seems to me. My thoughts are, always you're discussing this, is if it is planted advertising, it's sick. It's demented.
But Michael, I would say anyone who works in the so-called defense industry in the U.S. I don't know where the word defense comes from, but because as far as I know, you haven't been attacked a single time. It should be called something totally different. Anyone who's there being very proud of making missiles or warheads or whatever, that is just a sick. I mean, the whole mentality behind the war industry is so sick. Anyone who's got stocks and makes money out of these things is totally dipping their hands in blood, just as sick.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, when you look at the mob, how these people are very much involved in these things, but they are not afraid of talking about it. They're quite proud of it and making jokes about it and all of these things. But it's the same mentality here. I
Yeah.
think many of these people are making jokes about it and thinking it's really fun. Oh my God, they're really buying it once again. My God, they're so thick.
Well,
And
and it's no skin off their backs. I mean, they're thinking, hey, I have nothing to lose in this. We're pushing the agenda forward. They feel like they're part of the
yeah,
system that's
yeah,
rewarding them. So they're doing good. They're not impacted
yeah.
by it. So, hey, everything's okay.
But this is the thing. It's so important for these people to wake up as well. This doesn't matter if they're working for FEMA camps or surveillance things or listening into programs like this. Normally, my interviews are totally messed up because somebody in the other end is trying to chop them off or stop it. And what they don't get, including people in uniform, is that the people in control at this moment have absolutely no regard for them. They do not care about these people at all. There's no loyalty, no gratefulness, no nothing. If you or I or whoever it is that are working for them, if they don't fit in anymore, if there's no need for them, they will just get rid of them.
Yeah, they refer to them
Totally.
as useful idiots.
Useless eaters is the word that Henry Kissinger
Henry
so
Kissinger,
poetic
right? Yeah.
put. Cannon fodder, useless eaters, collateral damage. That's the way they look upon us.
Yep.
Just yeah. There's no empathy whatsoever. Anyway, so let's go back to the theme. When I saw first Dublin, then Paris, said to myself, my God, could this be what leaked out? And this awful image, could that be one of these sick things that they put out there, just to play with our minds, but we wouldn't even notice, but still it's out there. So I went out on different interviews and on Facebook as well, and I said, please, please, please be aware, one of the main ingredients in these force flight operations are so-called drills. They make these drills, they have these drills so that they can get the extras in position. They can get the explosives, they can get all the vehicles in there without people noticing, because it's only a drill for your protection. So we won't react while all of this is taking place. And it will sometimes also they use this drill to get the patsy in position so that he can be blamed for it afterwards. Him and other people involved having no idea that it's not a drill, but halfway through, boom, suddenly it goes live. And these drills, there were several on 9/11. There was the Boston bombing, the Sandy Hook. Every single time nowadays, the sinking of Estonia, the mass shooting in Norway, the 7/7 bombings in London, the bombings in Madrid. One part of it, the drill. So what I said was, please, please be aware. If you see anything about a drill or you see anything suspicious that looks like a film set or a drill or something like that, please go down there, film them. Go down don't go alone, go in a group, bring your cameras, bring your friends, bring your mobile, film them. Make it very, very obvious that they're being observed so that maybe if this is not just a drill, but a more sinister thing that is going to take place, we might be able to defuse it and even stop it. Let's make it very clear for them that we see them before they even start thinking about pulling the trigger. We know what you're up to, so just back up and get a life and go away and leave us alone. I said that, and just a few hours later, I was sent a photo from a person in Denmark who said, listen, I was just on my way home from my job, and I saw this poster in central Copenhagen, and it says there's this smiling girl in a uniform saying, tonight we're going to have a drill at one of the main train stations in Copenhagen for your protection, and have a nice life, So it was supposed to take place the night between the 14th and the 15th of January. So this guy who sent it to me, he said, could this be what you're talking about? I said, yes, thank you so much. And what I did was I took his photo, I went out on Facebook big time, just pumping it out there saying, please, if you're anywhere nearby, go there and film it. Make it very obvious that they're being observed, and maybe if there's something sinister planned, we will be able to stop it. People went there, People filmed it, nothing happened. Okay, so I thought maybe I was just paranoid, but the main thing is nobody got hurt. Thank you so much, and let's move on. That was the night between the 14th and the 15th. Then I did several shows after that, I think about 10 or something like that, and I mentioned these things. Then I was on Kevin Barrett's shows on the 13th of February, and I mentioned this again, and then the night between the 14th and 15th, boom, this thing happened in Copenhagen. Exactly a very similar scenario as I had warned about. So suddenly we're talking the real thing again. So I go to a new crime scene, and I try not to have a preconceived notion. Keep your mind open, go there, see it. So here we are again. What was said to have happened? Okay, the official story is that there was this meeting at a local cultural cafe in central Copenhagen. There was a cartoonist, here we go again, who had been threatened years ago for having made cartoons of Muhammad looking like a dog. Okay, he was there, the Swedish guy, and the French ambassador was there, and they were having this thing about against blasphemy and pro-free speech and all of these things. So this little group of people were gathered there, and in the middle of that, at around 3:30 in the afternoon, suddenly a lone crazy gunman comes and starts firing into the crowd. And the official story is that one man gets killed point blank with a headshot outside the cafe, and I think 3 people in the crowd are wounded. All 3 of them police officers. Okay. Then the guy takes off. He grabs a car from a normal citizen. He takes the car as a getaway car and disappears. Then later on, it's found out that he's taken a cab somewhere in central Copenhagen. And then in the early morning hour, at 1 a.m. Sunday morning, there's a man shot dead outside a synagogue in a back street in central Copenhagen. And also 2 police officers are wounded there. The guy disappears again. They don't know if it's the same guy to start with. And then 5 a.m. in the morning, Danish police I think they found the ID, or they managed to somehow track through this vehicle that was found, the identity of this guy, and they stalked this address where he lived. When he comes home, there's this shooting going on, and he ends up dead. So the official story goes on, and the whole of Denmark is like in shock and in mourning, and the police are being thanked in the newspapers. Thank you for taking care of this guy. There's articles saying next time you see a police officer, go up and say thank you to him. There's armed police everywhere, and so on. And Netanyahu, I don't know if he came to Denmark, but he went out and said, please, this is another sign, an attack on Israel. Please, we need to get all of the Jews come here to Israel. This is what they were saying after Paris. This is what he said once again. Let's evacuate and go to Israel. Blame the Muslim, blame the Muslim, blame the Muslim. That is one major part of this template as well. They need a lone crazy guy, a patsy that can be blamed. In the 60s, they used the Russians and East Germans and Bulgarians and so on as the boogeymen. Then when the wall came down, they had to find another one, so they went for the Muslims because they look really, really good in media. They look very scary, very dark, black eyes, big mustache, and they have these strange names, and they come from countries most people have absolutely no idea that even exist. So if you say that, and then you say, after all of this propaganda about Islam being equals terrorism and Muslim equals terrorist, which we have been pumped with for so many years, then as soon as you say, my name is Muhammad, and you're a little dark skinned, people will think, oh my God, where's the bomb? Where's the bomb? Like that. This is how far it's gone. Anyway, so normally I say that, just as a joke more or less, that the name of the patsy is something like Abdul Karim Karunka. Well, this guy, his name is Omar Hamid El Hussein. I mean, totally following the template. Anyway, so we look at this. Could this be a real event? Could it not? One of the things they need when they carry these things out is the logistics. You know, you got lots of people involved. You need toilets, you need food, you need coffee, these type of things, because they take time. So somewhere, even if you close off a street like that, you need somebody where close by where you can have a dressing room, makeup, weapons, technique, all kind of technical equipment you need, where you can park the vehicles and so on. You look at Paris, the office where the newspaper office was. If you look just about 100 meters down the street, there's like a little opening, a little square, and right at that square is a theater, Le Comédie Bastille. And there you got dressing rooms, makeup facilities, all of these things. And that is where the emergency vehicles were parked. This is where some people have taken photos of a lot of these emergency people from ambulances, fire trucks, police and so on, standing around drinking coffee, taking it very easy, not even looking in the direction of where the shooting is supposed to have taken, even though at that point the shooters were still on the loose. So I would very much suggest that could very well be the spot for the logistics. We look at Copenhagen. This coffee shop, it is called the Krudten, which means the powder key. Is that what you call it?
Like a powder keg?
A powder keg, exactly. And when you see many of these false flag operations, one of the things they love to play with your subconscious, so that you will go into the emotional thing, like the man that was beheaded in Woolwich, if you remember, a few years ago. There were two black men that said that to chop the head off an English soldier.
Right.
Okay, his name was Lee Rigby, and he was a drummer. You know the old story about the drummer boy? And Rigby, the song Eleanor Rigby, you love the Beatles, Eleanor Rigby, and it's so sad, and she died alone in the grave, was all of these things, to get the emotion going. These type of things. Then they often pick the location, the name of the street is not by coincidence. They're very aware of these. Sometimes when they assassinate someone, it can be on an old burial site, or where they used to hang people, or a Freemasonry site, or something like that. So it's very important to look into these things. Also using Google Map, because very often it can be in a junction that could be at the top of a pyramid when you look at the street formation in that city and so on. And very often they have an obelisk at the exact spot, or some other Freemasonry symbol at the site of the killing. Or they erect this obelisk with in a very close parameter of where the thing happened, but they do that normally after a year or so. Anyway, so we look at this cafe. The street is already shut off. There's only room enough for bicycles to come and go there. So they have no problems with any type of traffic. You look at also, there was a audio recording done by they were recording this whole meeting, and there's this woman giving a speech inside, and you can hear her talk, blah 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 blah. By the way, the one that had the copyright of this audio is BBC News. Okay, I just wonder, how did BBC News get the copyright of a recording done in Copenhagen so fast? Yeah. Anyway, so you have this woman, you can hear her speech, da 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 da. She's talking about the freedom of speech and so on, and then suddenly, bam, 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 you hear these guns being fired, or this gun being fired. Then you hear all of these, you can hear the footsteps of people running around, and then it sounds like somebody's dropping a metal bar on the floor or something like that. And then that's about it. It's about 20 seconds long, and so on. So you listen to that, and I would say the normal reaction, if somebody goes into a place and starts shooting, people will freak out. They will scream, they will beg for their life, they will run or curse or anything like that. Here, you have no voices whatsoever. The speech, gunfire, and footsteps, bam, 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 bam. No tables being pushed over, no glass being crushed, bottles being, nothing. Just gunfire and footsteps.
So no reaction by anybody who was inside?
No vocal, nothing.
Right.
You hear, there are no voices at all. And then you can find on YouTube at the moment, there is a footage that is called something like the Danish free speech, blah, 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 raw footage. Okay. That is like a 5-second sequence filmed from the outside the cafe, where you can see it looks like shots being fired from the inside. That you can't see anyone inside, but just boom, 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 boom. You can see these bullet holes in the window appearing. Okay, so you check out. I'm a musician, so I just wrote down the musical rhythm of the shots fired, compared it to the other one. Does not match up at all. Then you have the first witnesses. They were talking about multiple shooters. Then that turned into one shooter. This is also very normal with these false flags. They have multiple shooters, but one patsy. And the angle, at first it was said that he was inside and shooting there. Then it turned out that he was on the outside shooting in. So you look at the footage, there's absolutely no one there, just these shots being fired. The victim that was supposed to be killed, or was killed, I don't know, was standing outside the door. Where is he? He's not there. And they've totally focused on that the target was this Swedish cartoonist, but the victim was a Danish filmmaker, a documentary maker. There's nothing mentioned about him as a victim. It's just like his name and then his age. Nothing about him being a filmmaker. A normal investigation would say, we have a victim, and if he's got a job like that, let's look into his background and see, maybe he made something, maybe he's upset someone, or could that be a motive? Nothing about that at all. And also you look at the pattern of the bullet holes, they're at a height where it would be like the level of the stomach and chest upwards. Yeah. But the people wounded are all wounded in the legs. You see footage inside of this cafe. I managed to get a hold of a few of them, and there's one guy lying on the floor on his back. Nobody cares about him. He's just lying still there. There's a series of photos, so you can see he's still not moving. One guy is walking around. I think he's talking on a mobile phone. He's got his leg, one trouser leg up, and there's a bandage around his leg. It looks very calm. There's no destruction, there's no blood, there's nothing. And I think that the guy that managed to shoot into the crowd and only hit police officer was pretty unlucky. But when you look historically on these things, very often it's intelligence officers who dress like police, or they say that they're normal police, but they're not. And it came out also that 2 of the 3 people hit were from the intelligence services, the Danish ones, the PET it's called. Okay, so you look at would it be a good place for a false flag? You look right in front of it, you go down Google Map, you go to the entrance, you turn around, you're looking straight into a big bushy area. It's on the outskirts of a major park. So there's absolutely no one that would be there or would be able to look into it. It's very easy to control that area. You look for logistics. About 100 meters from this cafe is a big stadium, perfect for vehicles, get them out of the way. Their dressing rooms, lockers, cafeterias, showers, all of these things. Also inside, behind this cultural cafe, in the same building, are a stage with makeup, dressing rooms, all of these things. Perfect for a false flag. So we continue. Like this guy takes off, nobody follows him, and he managed to grab a car and drive off. Dumps the car, and then 1 o'clock in the morning, it is said that he goes to this back street in central Copenhagen, and he's stalking this synagogue, and it's said that there's a bar mitzvah there at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, I'm not Jewish. Is that normal that a bar mitzvah is still going on at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if 1 o'clock is too late for a bar mitzvah.
Okay, but it's said that there's 80 people in there and that he's been stalking this place. If I can go back in history, this thing where they play with our subconscious, when Hitler was getting into power, one evening, he sort of let his supporters loose on the Jewish population. And they went up and down in the streets of many cities, crushing the windows of the synagogues, of the shops and houses owned by Jews. It went under the name of Kristallnacht. I think it's Crystal Night in English, from all the crushed glass that was in the streets and so on. That's that was how it was named in history. Now this synagogue is on Crystal Street in Copenhagen. Crystal Street. I'm just pointing things out. I'm not saying
that's very interesting. Yep.
Yeah. But we're talking about getting the emotions going. You know, this is the center of the Jewish community on Crystal Street, and there's an attack on them. You know, we're just adding it up. So I'll take you to the Boston bombing. Just before the Boston bombing took place, there was in the Boston Globe, there was an advertisement saying that today we're going to have a bomb drill in Boston, and it will take place outside the main library. So please be aware and have a good day, that type of thing. Just very shortly after, I think it was 5 or 10 minutes after this went on, boom, the bombs exploded at the Boston Marathon. No mentioning of the library or anything like that. That disappeared very quickly. Okay, you go down Google Map, you check out the exact site where the bombs exploded. You do a 180-degree turn, and you're looking straight at the entrance of the main library, exactly where they said the drill was going to be. So why the main library? I would say once again, that would be a perfect spot on a holiday. It was on Patriots Day. They love these dates. Symbolic to get into your mind again, Patriots Day, and you were attacked. Oh my God. So why the library? Because that's where, once again, you got cafeterias, you got food and coffee. If it's cold, you can sit and warm up a bit. There's the toilets, there's makeup room, or places where you can have all the technical equipment. You can film the whole thing. You can be totally left alone inside that building with nobody knowing that you're even there. And then come Monday morning, poof, it's all gone, and nobody would ever notice. So we go to Copenhagen. We go down Google Map. We look at the synagogue. It's a very narrow street. We do a 180 to check out the surroundings. What are we looking at? The back entrance of the main library of Copenhagen. Once again, I would very much strongly suggest what was going on in there at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the shooting, this guy takes off. The guy he is said to have killed. I don't know if this guy died for real. I don't know. But once again, the two people that was wounded, police officers. So the police comes and they shut off the street and tell normal people back off. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, but it's Saturday morning, so there's some people that have been drinking a little bit too much. But so we got these military-looking police officers that are standing there with automatic weapons, and then there's a film crew that is just filming it, and there's this big vehicle coming. I think it's going against the normal direction of traffic because it's one-way street as far as I can see. So there's these police officers that are trying to clear the space for it because it's too big. It's a big bus. What is a big bus doing in a back street like that, 2-3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
So you have and it's just a neutral footage, It's just because I'm looking for these odd things. So I would very much suggest, could that bus be there to get rid of the equipment that they have used for this thing, so that you just empty the library, get everybody in the bus, and let's get out. Then you look at the bus, and there's a big sign on the top of it, and it says evacuation. It says evacuation on the bus. So is that for the crowd, the staff? Yes, this is the evacuation bus. Normally on film sets you do not do that. But could it be a subliminal message for people seeing these films, saying, because the Jews have been attacked in the synagogue in Crystal Street, we need to evacuate? And that is exactly the message that Netanyahu came with just hours after.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Do you see you as a hypnotist? I would say this could be interesting information.
Oh, it's very interesting, Oli, and it's very possible that there are subliminal messages that are there, that are planted there. I mean, it did the same thing with the 7/7 bombings on the buses. I watched that film, Ripple Effect.
Yeah.
They went through that. The buses had some subliminal messages on them. So I don't put anything past them. Absolutely nothing.
No, they pump it full with all of these things. That is why I point them out.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there are loads that I haven't noticed. So anyway, so the guy gets away once again, and the police is so good that they managed to find out who he is. I think they found some kind of identification in the car that he abandoned. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but it was, as far as I know, it was through this vehicle that they managed to track down who he was. So they stalked his home address, and 5 o'clock in the morning he comes, boom, they kill him. So where did he kill him? They killed him very close to the very same train station that I warned about this false flag just a month ago. And that was on the exact same night. I mean, it was exactly 1 month later, on the hour, from the one I warned about to the one that was carried out. Maybe a coincidence, I don't know. But also you look at the date, and the 15th of February, that's the date. I don't know if I mentioned that, when the USS Maine was blown up in the Havana port. And that was the one that got the US into the in the war against or made it okay for the US to go to war against Spain, and really stealing Panama, Guam, the Philippines and Cuba from Spain.
So the same
Once
date. They like to use
they
this
they love these dates.
they love dates.
Yeah, they love dates. 9/11. If you look at what happened on 9/11,
Yep.
yes, there were the Twin Towers. Exactly on the day 10 years earlier, 9/11. That was the first time that George Bush Sr. went out and openly spoke about the New World Order.
That's right.
9/11, 73. That was when they took over for Salvador Allende and killed him, and
Right.
so on. And it just they repeat the same things. They repeat the same things.
It's fear and it's terrorism by numbers.
But it's more than that, because they have a very dark agenda. They're into very, very dark things, I would say.
Oh
If
yeah.
we're talking about the light, they are in the dark. And many of these things are, I normally don't talk about these things, but very connected to satanic things, sometimes rituals, sometimes sacrifices, and this. And do you know what I just found? I was sent a front page of one of the main newspapers in Denmark that was published just 5 days before this happened. And the headline is 666. I mean, it's massive. And above this 666, it doesn't make any sense to the whatever is written underneath it. But this 666, it's like 1/4 of the main front page, and above it there are two very staring eyes. And if you got the power pyramid, or the pyramid of the New World Order, and that whole thing, you got the all-seeing eyes above the pyramid. So it's very much like that. And then right to the right of the staring eyes, there's a pyramid-shaped thing where it says something like "Remember Chernobyl." So when it goes subconsciously, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
the impact of that front page.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't. I mean, they have no idea how dark that business is. Their whole business. It's the occult. It's rituals. It's black magic.
Yeah.
It's pedophilia. That rabbit hole is so deep and so dark, and just most people are completely oblivious to it.
Yep. You cannot make it dark enough. I
No.
tell you. There's no end of it when you start digging
Yeah, they're in
into
the
it.
abyss. They really are.
Yeah, I feel sorry for many of them. I mean, because they are lost.
Well, you and I talked about this in the first show. They're all going to have their karma. So,
Yeah, I can understand if they're really scared at this time, because I do not envy them. I really think that they don't know where to go now, because we're on their case all the time, and I do everything I can to get the timeline out of rhythm. I don't know if I mentioned it, but when I spoke to Chip, he said that they got a very strict timeline, and everything is they build it's sort of like in a series of events, so that one thing it needs to go off the way they plan it to be able to carry on to the next one, to the next one, to the next, but they on a global scale. So maybe they're planning that to use this false flag in Copenhagen for blah, 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 and then they can destroy Palestine, or they can do this or that. And then if this one doesn't work, that can really screw things up for them. And Chip said anything to disturb the timeline is perfect. So hopefully, if what I have been putting forward is correct, then hopefully we might be able to stop the thing in Italy. After I started going out and talking about Italy, now I saw in the news today that they've started giving the police extra force in Italy because they're expecting a terror attack, and they're militarizing the police there. Is that what we're looking at? Is that what they're trying to pull off as a next step? I'm just saying, let's turn it around and let's be one step ahead of them.
This document, Ole, that you received, and was this leaked personally to you, or was it leaked to a number of people? The one that talked about the Grim Reaper, Paris, Denmark, Italy?
No, it was circulating in the Irish media.
Oh.
It was somebody sent it to me and said, "This gives me the creeps. Do you know what it is?"
Okay.
And he said that this happened this was in Dublin, and then this happened in Dublin. So he sent it to me, and then the thing happened in Paris, and that was what made me think, wait, hang on, because I know that they put it out there many times right in front of us through films and movies, and just like they want to play with us, just like you said, like a power that they get off on a power game, playing with a victim.
I think that the alternative media and those that are doing research into these false flags, I don't think the Aurora, Colorado Batman shooting worked for them. No. I think they got caught very quickly with their pants around their ankles. The same thing with Sandy Hook, and I don't think the Boston bombing went well for them at all.
I think Boston bombing was the first main failure for them. That was when it started falling apart. And that was when you see the statistic or the Google search of words, the word false flag just skyrocketed from more or less being something unknown to, I think there was I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of hits within the first few days.
Yeah, it was winding up in the mainstream media.
Yeah. And before that, people hadn't heard of false flag operations. So, but I just feel that whoever pulls forward something, whatever they put forward, if it's part of the jigsaw, part of the solution, I welcome it and I thank for that one. Then maybe the same person next time messes up or whatever, then at least that was brought forward. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's how I look at it too. If something good is brought forth and it prevents something, it shines the light, it brings the truth out, then I'm going to embrace it. If there's other stuff that I don't think is on the up and up, then I'm not going to embrace it. I'm just going to leave it where it is and move forward.
We always have to be alert, and awake. And I mean, like Edward Snowden, these type of people, you have to be very aware of who is he, why is he saying so, what information, what is the result? Is it freaking people out to think that we're so super controlled when we're maybe not? I don't know. You need to be very aware. Also with people like myself, don't buy into what I say just because I'm on this program. Check it out for yourself. Be critical. Listen. Put together the jigsaw yourself. Inform yourself. Don't swallow things.
I tell people the same thing. I tell them, do your homework and do your own research.
Exactly. I've got on my website, Light on Conspiracies, there my book, Coup d'etat in Slow Motion. And on the back of the book, I've written, read it, be critical, think for yourself. If it makes sense to you, then spread it,
Right.
That don't buy into it just like that. I hope people will use their own capacity to logical thinking and just see, for instance, with the plane in the Pentagon, does it make sense that a 757 disappears into the hole the size of a missile, that it folded its wings and disappeared into this hole, two engines partly made of titanium that vaporized due to high heat? Does it make sense? If, just as an example, if I came home drunk one day and had lost my car, and I wrote into the insurance company saying, listen, I have lost my car, please give me a new one. They said, what happened to it? I said, well, I reversed into a wall or something like that, and the friction made it vaporize. Would they pay? I think not.
Right.
And it's the same level of logic. You know, it's many of these things are no-brainers.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did that on the last show, but I sometimes take the Robert Kennedy assassination. You have that guy who's still rotting away in jail, being accused for the whole thing, Sirhan.
Right.
The closest he got to Robert Kennedy was 1.5 meters. I don't know, what is that, like 5 feet or something like that?
5 feet, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. That was the closest, and he was at all times right in front of him, straight in front of Robert Kennedy. He had a revolver with 8 shots, okay? As soon as he started shooting, people jumped him and wrestled him down on a steam table, took away the gun from him, and so on. So you look at the crime scene. Of course, only 8 shots were fired, maximum. No, somewhere between 13 and 14.
Yep.
That should make a major question mark somewhere. Then you see, of course, Robert Kennedy was shot all the time straight from the front. No, from the back and to the right. And the last shots were fired point blank, so it even burned away hair from his skull behind his ear. Now, a question I think is a fair question would be to ask, who was standing behind and to the right? It's not rocket science. And still here, after 50, 60 years almost, we're still looking and saying, oh, no, but I do believe it was Sirhan. I'm telling you, it was not. Get over it.
Right.
Who was standing behind and to the right, and why was it done? What was the solution? What happened afterwards? Why was he killed?
Well, it's the same people that still believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin. It's just absurd.
And the reason why they always want them alone and crazy is because if they're alone, then by law there's no conspiracy. You do not have to deal with it as a conspiracy. Why do they want him crazy? Because then there's no motive.
Right.
He was crazy, he just went up and he shot him. Case
Exactly.
closed. Thank you, and let's hope that let this guy die very quickly so that it's case closed. Thank you, folks. Goodbye, and have a good night.
Nice little package, slap a bow on it, everybody goes home. Yep.
Yeah. That's the idea.
Yeah.
So as soon as you hear about a lone crazy guy, be aware. Listen, before I leave, I know you asked about the John Lennon assassination, and we never get to it.
You come back next time. You should come back every month, Ole.
Okay, let's come back next time, because then I'm going to talk about an ultra secret hit team called Operation 40.
Okay.
That was created in the early 60s, and it's like a red thread going through so many different events in modern history, including the John Lennon assassination.
All right, yeah, I'd love to go through that. I mean, your information is fascinating. It really is. I can sit and listen to you for hours. So it's great, really. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. Do you know, I just want to let people know that I'm on my way now to Sweden. I live in Spain now, but I'm going back to Sweden on the anniversary of the assassination of Olof Palme on February the 28th. I'm going to do a guided 5-hour tour around the site of the murder site and show what actually happened. Not the official version. Everybody who's interested in the official version and the patsy, sorry, you're in for a surprise here. I'm going to show what actually happened. All the people involved, name them all, who drove the escape cars, how it was financed, where it was controlled from, how the whole thing was carried out. Then I'm going to go to Gothenburg the day after, give another speech there, Malmö, another speech the morning after, and then I'm going to Copenhagen and do a guided tour around these, the latest things that happened in Copenhagen, around this so-called terror thing in Copenhagen. A guided 5-hour tour around there as well, on site, showing all of these things and so on.
Excellent.
And then I'm going to sleep on the plane home and take a rest.
Yeah. Well, you probably need to get a rest now because it's almost 10 o'clock. Well, it's a little after 10 o'clock there, right?
It is indeed.
All right. Well, Ole, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. And any last thoughts?
If anyone wants to help me, please, financial support, donations, buy my book, sign up for my newsletter, my membership area. I'm not paid by anyone. I've spent 30 years and I'm putting my life online. So if anyone wants to do an, exchange of energy, I would be very, very grateful for it. It really, really helps me a lot. And then I would like to finish with a prayer, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I'm not a religious person, but I have this prayer that my Raja Yoga teacher, Nelani Chelaram, normally says, and it goes like this. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May everyone, and especially the ones who hurt us, be filled with peace and joy, love and light. I just want to say that my intention is to be part of creating a world with total ceasefire, no wars, total harmony, abundance to everybody, Mother Nature back in balance, and just harmony everywhere. Chip Tatum thinks that sounds like Miss America's speech. I'm fine with that. That is my intention. If I can do anything to be part of that, I will die very happy one day. If not, well, at least I tried. I wish you all a beautiful evening and a beautiful continued life.
You're a good man. Well, go get some sleep, and then I'll send you an email, and we're going to catch up next month, and we'll continue our conversation.
Sounds great.
Okay, my friend.
You take care.
Good night. And that concludes our interview with Ole Dammegård, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as I did. Ole's work is completely self-funded, so if you could take a moment and visit his website, lightonconspiracies.com, and consider donating or sponsoring his work, it would be greatly appreciated. You can also purchase Ole's books at his website, including the highly acclaimed Coup d'etat in slow motion. And as always, I'd like to thank everyone for listening and visiting the blog. You can get to the blog by typing in sageofquayradio.blogspot.com or simply head over to our hub website at sageofquay.com. Also, if you get a moment, please visit laboroflovemusic.com to listen to my album, Leaving Dystopia. And remember, live in truth and always serve creation. It's really that simple. And to sign off, here's Ole's song, From Prison to Paradise. See everyone next week. Be safe, enjoy, and God bless.
It's our future.
Once upon a time, in a place not far from here, there was so much loneliness, despair, and oh so much fear. Darkness ruled all over the land, there was lightning in the sky, causing wars and separation, with no one knowing why. These evil times raised leaders, disguised as kinda true, hiding the true and misty fogs only very few people knew. Controlled by an elite few, manipulating you and me, closing out the light of power that can make us all be free. Wake up. 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 But then came time of change, covering countries and their towns. Few became many and soon the prison walls came down. Starting with a man in the mirror, staring right back into their eyes, understanding that this was a chance to stop those hideous lies. Unhappiness is merely an illusion of misery, based on brainwashing and misconception of true reality. From now on, let's build bridges between our souls and hearts, so we together can rejoice